pretty impressive, my friend.
Yeah.
And I have to thank you for the cushioned floor. Not every booth has the cushioned floor. It's nice to be standing on that.
We take care of our people.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And your customers, I presume, as well, which we're going to get into. Let's start off with a few words about your role at Harness, maybe what led you to the role, and then we'll talk about what the company's up to.
So I've been in this role now for almost a year.
Okay.
I run our application security business. And application security is one of the core pillars for Harness as part of our vision of building our DevSecOps platform. Just to give you a sense, a year ago we publicly announced that security was a quarter of our revenue, and I can only say it's now much higher.
Right. No announcements today?
Not yet.
No, but can't pull it out yet? No announcements, but you did get
an
award, which is really cool. What is
we
this?
got a leader award.
Okay.
This is for the best and the most accurate detection for API threats.
Okay.
And the reason that's very important is if you've been tracking what's happened in the last few days with OpenAI and Hugging Face and Anthropic, as I said, agents are going to be agents. There are agents now running in the wild. So as companies, you have to protect not just the agents you build, but you have to protect yourself from the agents in the wild. And that's what this award shows, that we are the best at it.
Nice. Congratulations on
Thank
that.
you. No, we're very excited about it.
It's a good looking award too. Nice color.
It matches the Harness blue.
Purposeful enough.
Yes.
Take it.
Yes.
All right. So tell me a little bit about the company. So rooted in DevOps, which is important, right? Bringing products to market and to life in an organization. The switch to DevSecOps. So kind of paint that picture for me.
So our founder is Jyoti Bansal. As Jyoti likes to say, he thought about this company 10 years before he founded it. He saw this problem at one of the largest banks, and he realized that one of the biggest challenges that most organizations have as they start developing software is how do you ship your software quickly and securely. So that was his motivation of starting Harness as a DevOps platform. As the company gained momentum and we started serving some of the largest companies, he realized security was a really critical part of it. And that's when he brought in security. And just coincidentally, he had funded another security company focused on API security. So he merged the two companies to build a DevSecOps platform. And what is truly unique about us is security is not a bolt-on. It is really part of the developer workflow and native in the platform. And the other thing which is unique about us is we view security all the way from code to runtime. And that is special because most names that you've heard of are either focused on the code or the build time or focused on the runtime. We bring the two together into a unified view.
So talk to me about the developer experience first off. I know you can educate and give them examples, but kind of talk about how they work within the Harness environment and how you help them actually deliver the secure code.
So the problem with security for the longest times has been, security is seen as a toil on the developer. Right? It is something that blocks them from launching, moving fast. It also requires them to then go and chase lots of different things and move from their preferred tool to a security tool and understand the new context, and that's always somewhat irritating and slows things down. With Harness, security is part of the developer workflow. We give you all of the context of security vulnerabilities right there. We aggregate them across all your different scanners. We do dedupe them so you're not seeing duplicates, and then we really help you manage the workflow of remediating those. Right? And so a lot of companies, some of the largest banks are able to automate hundreds of policies which were manual earlier and make it now part of the tool.
All right. So tell me about the experience the developer has as they're working to actually deliver and ship their code.
So security and developers have always had friction. And that friction is partly caused by the fact that they live in two different tools. Security teams live in scanning and security tools, and developers live in IDEs and and they're sort of managing pipelines and buildings, pipelines and artifacts. So bringing these two things together is one of the things that we did really well. So as a developer, you get all the vulnerability findings with all of the context, with the prioritization, all as part of a single tool. And you can then run the entire workflow of assigning different vulnerabilities to the different team members. If you need an exemption, you can ask for an exemption. And all of that is there both for the developer and the security professional. And that's one of the things that really is driving our momentum, because we are able to bring security and developers on the same page.
So what's the experience for the security team then? Because do they have visibility into the whole picture, and actually when they get that exception request, know what it means?
So the biggest challenge for security teams is they come up with all of these policies and requirements, but then they have no way of knowing which of these are being met. Because some of them are manual, some of them may be in one tool, other are in another tool. With us, all of them get consolidated, and you can really bake it as part of our policy engine. So you know exactly what is happening with every build that is happening in your company, which policies are being triggered, which policies are breaking your build, where did the developer need an exception, and all of that is really part of one environment with a full audit trail.
And I'm going to guess, not just security, right? The policy can be many things.
Yeah, so the policies, that's absolutely right. The policy can be security, it can be compliance, it can even be, I'm trying to think if there's something which is different than security and compliance.
Or just general quality assurance, right?
It could be code reviews, it could be quality, it could be lots of different things, and all of them are treated the same way.
Okay. Very cool. So, obviously, developers are being asked to do more, faster. Where do they turn to do that? AI, perhaps? So what does that world look like for them working with you?
So, clearly, almost every development team right now in the world is using AI. The amount of code that they're generating is definitely increasing. The problem, however, is the amount of code that is being delivered out to the customer or the user is actually not increasing that much. The reason for that is the bottleneck in the system has just shifted. Earlier, the bottleneck was the code you could write. That is no longer the bottleneck. Now the bottleneck is all of this code that is being written. How do you make sure it is secure? How do you test for it? How do you deploy it? And how do you do that with all of the governance and compliance that you need? That's the problem Harness is really trying to solve. So we like to call ourselves, we are AI for everything after the code has been written. Because the entire SDLC coding is only 20 to 30% of it. 70 to 80% of the software developer lifecycle happens after the code is written.
So you've been innovating, I think here at Black Hat, or just recently you launched some new things. So tell me a little bit about that.
So, the nature of software constantly evolves, right? At one time it was monolithic code, then became, microservices based, and what's happened in the last 6 to 9 to 12 months is a lot of the applications that are written are AI applications or agents. Okay. We have now extended the Harness platform to support agent DLC. Okay. So if you're writing agents, now the platform provides you native capabilities, things like, how do you do AI eval? How do you evaluate the agent so that, you know that they will reason the right way? Or how do you test for them so that the prompts are the right prompts before you roll them out? And as part of that, we rolled out a full, security experience. So how do you make sure your agents are secure from code to runtime? Now, at Black Hat, every security company is talking about that.
Of course. But you're different.
You got it right. So there are two things that are unique about us. I think one is this, the approach of code to runtime. So what that means is we secure your agents while they are being developed. The industry likes to use the word shift left for that.
Right.
And we secure your code when they are operating and running. That's the industry likes to call it shield right.
Does it matter where?
It doesn't matter where you run it. We will still, protect it. So we bring these two things together. Right? The other thing which is unique is everyone that is talking about agent security has a new tool. They have a new widget that they're asking you to buy. We have fundamentally believed that platforms should be able to support multiple use cases. So we've just extended our existing platform to support agents.
Okay.
So I'll give you an example of that.
Please.
You scan your code for vulnerabilities. Right? We just added skill scanning and prompt scanning as part of that.
Okay.
So you understand, where you have prompts and what your exposure is and what the risk is. It's the same tool that does scanning for code vulnerabilities that is now scanning for AI risks.
So the ultimate goal is to get the product out there. I mean, that's the developers want their stuff out. The business wants, whether it's internal users or customers, to have their code delivered securely. So what are some examples of customers where they're able to do that with a higher level of confidence or some other outcome that was not possible before?
I would say each one of Harness 1,000 customers have seen increase in velocity. And I'll give you one of the largest tier 1 US banks. They had 150 different policies. They had to bring an entire team together to review whether all of those 150 policies had been adhered to before they could do a launch of, let's say, even their banking app for your phone.
Right.
By automating all of that, they now don't need to bring all of these people together. They are able to do launches within weeks, multiple launches within weeks, and they're able to do that with the confidence that they're meeting all of their compliance requirements and policy requirements. So that's just one example, but if you go to the Harness website,
A lot of case studies?
we just have tons of case studies because this is the core use case, and this is the way we justify to our customers the investment in the Harness platform.
So clearly I'm going to use the policy thing as an example and maybe expand on that a little bit more. Because policies, that's an internal view. Sometimes it's an external. What are the policies you're running to adhere to a HIPAA or adhere to SOC or whatever? So visibility into what you did, proof that you did it. Tell me a little bit about that in terms of how you can offer.
So, I'll give you a very simple example right now, which is very topical. Right? Since the launch of Mythos and some of the frontier models, one of the big risks is there'll be a lot of new vulnerabilities that will be discovered in all the third-party packages and open source software, which all of us use in a very, very big way. So you can have a simple policy which says if the open source package or third-party package that is part of this build is end of life or malicious or does not meet some of your requirements, you just block the build. Right? So no matter what the developer is doing, it'll not go into the pipeline if it does not meet that requirement. So that's a very simple example, but very powerful example, because one of the big problems security teams have right now is how do you govern the packages that are being used? Because 80%, 90% of the software is now third-party packages, libraries, open source components you're using.
Well, so good to have this chat with you. I'm going to give you a final word to, let's say, security team leaders, how they can connect with you, what they can expect when they're working with the Harness team.
For security professionals, as I said, one of the biggest challenges is how do you really get developers to adopt the right practices, the right policies. And one of the things that Harness really offers is we are a friend that really brings security and DevOps on the same page. So if you're a security professional and you're challenged with how do you make sure your security practices are really being adopted, that's one. Second, are state of the art so that you are ready for the AI era. Those are two really good reasons for you to reach out.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
And everybody listening, watching, connect with Rahul and the Harness team, harness.io.
That's right.
And continue your own transition from DevOps to DevSecOps and have security and dev work together for a change. All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.